Westland City Council to order. We will begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Andrea Rakowski.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rakowski, for leading us in the pledge. And clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Baumann, present. Councilman Carter. Here. Councilman Hornbuckle.
Here.
Councilwoman Markowski.
Present.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Present.
Councilman Wishart.
Here.
Council President McDermott.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk. Before we start tonight's meeting, I did want to acknowledge a really tragic situation that we had happen here in our city. We lost a member of our community media and WLNE team very unexpectedly here this last week with the passing of Director Terry Packer. And if we could, we are going to have Director Packer's family and some folks from WLND come up here in just a little bit. But if we could start the meeting off with a moment of silence for Director Packer, please. Thank you very much. Our first special announcement and presentation before we get to the tributes and honoring the memory of Director Terry Packer is going to come from our State Senator, Dana Polhenke.
Okay.
Senator Polhenke, if you'd like to give us a legislative update. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Council President McDermott, President Pro Tem Sampe, and council members. Appreciate the chance to address you today. It's going to be a busy week. Just got done with a virtual town hall on our changes to earned sick time and the minimum wage, which I'll talk about briefly in a second. I do have another town hall for anyone who's interested with Congresswoman Dingell. And this is going to be kind of a free-for-all, which I don't know. It's a little scary, but no topic. Just whatever topic you want to talk about with Congresswoman Dingell, myself, and a couple other representatives. That's going to be this Thursday at 5 o'clock at the Park Recreation Center in Plymouth. So it's the Plymouth Arts and Recreation Complex. So would love to see you there. I have a coffee hour tomorrow night in Inkster at the Dozier Recreation Center at 6 p.m. And please follow my Senate page, which I do myself. I update almost daily on Facebook, and that's Senator Dana Polhanke. So I did mention that this is a legislative update, so I'm going to talk about some legislation that we've passed that's notable or that I think you might be interested in. One is changes to earned sick time and the minimum wage. So two bills that began as a ballot initiative, but which never made it to the ballot, which I supported, are now law. And I was pleased to be the vice chairwoman on the committee that heard all the testimony. So I did get to hear firsthand ahead of my vote. So the gist of it regarding earned sick time is that for the first time in, I think, Michigan history, larger businesses that's 10 or more employees must provide 72 hours of earned sick time to full-time employees. That's the gist of it. Now, smaller businesses with 10 or fewer employees must provide a minimum of 40 hours of earned sick time to full-time employees. So this is a first ever in Michigan. As well, the minimum wage will go up to $15 an hour by 2027 in increments. So those are some highlights of the earned sick time and minimum wage. Some other bills that passed during what's called lame duck, which ended up being very disappointing for my caucus. I'm the majority caucus chair in the Democratic caucus in the Michigan Senate. Half the chamber in the House plus one member of my own party did not show up. And because of that, 250 bills that passed out of the Senate died in the House, and 9 of them were my own. It was very devastating. Nevertheless, we did sit in our seats for 29 full hours, no breaks, no nothing, on the Senate floor to pass around 100 bills that came from the House to the Senate. So here are a couple of those. Ending housing discrimination is now law. Landlords can no longer deny a renter housing based on source of income, like a housing voucher. Safe storage notifications. We have a very strict child safe storage law now. And the problem is most people don't know about it. So I think the best way to get the word out is we made a law that says schools have to send home a flyer and a backpack or an email or something that talks about how important it is that you safely store your guns if a minor is present. So that's now law. We're codifying a bunch of school safety and mental health initiatives to protect our kids from the threat of a school shooter and to just protect their mental health. We increased unemployment payments. So the maximum, if you're unemployed and file for unemployment, that you can get is $362 a week. Well, we have increased that so that within the next, I think it's a couple years, the maximum is going to increase to $614 a week. 362 just doesn't cut it anymore. And we also increased the period during which you can claim unemployment from 20 months to 26 months. So we actually put back the 6 months, is it months? Weeks.
6 weeks.
I'm so sorry. That's a long time. That's a long dang time, 26 months. It's weeks. It's been a long day. So 26 weeks. Still quite an increase. I was pretty happy about that. The last thing is, I really fought hard for this bill, even though it wasn't my bill. The statute of limitations for criminal sexual conduct in the second and third degree is now no more. Meaning in my case, I've worked with survivors of a couple Catholic priests who were my priests in my parish, and one of them is in prison, one of them just died in prison. But the survivors were unable to press charges, criminal charges, because the statute of limitations had been up. We eliminated that. So no more statute of limitations for criminal sexual conduct in the second and third degree. Criminal indictments can now be filed at any time, regardless of the age of the alleged victim. Lastly, I just want to remind everyone what a big deal it was to pass. It was dyslexia legislation that the main purpose was to help identify kids who are dyslexic, who slip through the cracks, and so we're going to do that. But scooped up in that is we're completely overhauling, changing the way we're teaching reading to our young kids, pre-K through third grade especially. So some of the older people in my age, Gen X, we learned phonics to sound out word sounds. And I just thought, isn't that how everyone learns reading? Well, there's a 20-year period where they kind of moved away from that into something called whole reading, and it didn't work. And it took a long time to figure out it didn't work. So, going back to the phonics, it's called Science of Reading, and teachers across the Michigan are being trained in this right now, and they love it. And our goal is to get them all trained. So I'm not proud, of the reading scores this year. We're kind of low. There's no great way to spin that. Something else I'm working on, because I do chair the education committee and I was a teacher for 20 years. So is reducing class sizes for K-3 and especially in high poverty districts to give that more one-on-one with the kid and the teacher. There's one last thing I'm gonna bring up, and this is for the people who are, deep into Michigan politics. If you've heard about the 9 bills held hostage, I don't know if that's of interest to anyone. During lame duck, when we passed those 100 bills, so they passed the House, they passed the Senate, and because they originated in the House, they had to go back to the House, and they're supposed to be in what's called enrolled, and then presented to the governor, and she has 14 days during which to sign. Well, the new Speaker of the House decided that he didn't like 9 of the bills, so he just held them back, and is preventing, literally, physically, preventing the governor from signing the bills. So my caucus had to sue him. We won. But we still don't have the bills. So short of like going in there and knocking the door down and getting the bills, we're gonna continue with the legal process. He has technically until Wednesday to turn them over to the governor. He has indicated he will not. So I'm thinking this is gonna end up in the Michigan Supreme Court. I wish it didn't have to be this way. One of the bills is very important to me, and it affects teachers, firefighters, and police officers. And in the case of teachers, which I know more about, they have to pay out of pocket. In Garden City, average of $3,000 a year because the healthcare costs are skyrocketing so much. And it's in some cases eating up all this money that we've given them over the past, 2 years. And they're like, thanks for the money, but our healthcare costs are so high, the out-of-pocket just, cancels it out. So, and that's with not just teachers, it's our firefighters and our police officers. So that's a bill that's being held back. Corrections officers, we need more corrections officers. That job is no joke. And with the mandatory overtime, people don't want to be corrections officers. So what did we do? We said, let's give corrections officers the police officer pension system. So to try to get more corrections officers in there. Well, that's being held back. So it's illegal, it's unconstitutional, but he's doing it anyway. I do think we're gonna win, but it shouldn't be this hard. So do you have any questions for me? That ends my formal.
We don't take questions from the dais.
You don't take
Yep.
questions?
Yep.
Understood. Well, that's easy. All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate the time. All right.
Thank you, Senator Polanki. All right, our second special announcement and presentation. Normally, this isn't something that we would do, but we suffered a great loss here in our community. We're going to bring up our team and the colleagues of Terry Packer, WLND. They just wanted to come up here prior to the meeting and say just a few words in regards to the sudden loss of Director Packer.
Hello, my name's Dan Packer. I'm Terry's father. Bear with me a minute. We've suffered a terrible loss. I just wanted to thank Westland for the tremendous, incredible outpouring of love. It'll never be forgotten. Thank you, people.
Terry was the light that shined after some of the darkest days at WLND. After losing our head producer, Dave Monick, and then our fearless leader, Craig Welkenbach, our office was struggling. Morale was low and our creative spark was slipping. We often wondered how we would find our way back. And then came Terry. We were a small team trying to stay afloat with new administration, and Terry just didn't step into his role. He embraced it. He didn't just figure out what WLND needed. He took the time to understand what we needed as a staff. He held meetings, he had countless one-on-ones, and genuinely asked how we could make our days better and work more efficient. But Terry wasn't new to us. Long before officially joining WLND, he had already been part of our world, working on marketing projects and shows. For me, Terry was more than a colleague. He was my friend for over 15 years. We bounced ideas off of each other, worked seamlessly as a team, and shared a creative bond that made everything feel possible. So how do you even begin to thank someone for everything they have done for you, especially when they're gone? Terry was my rock, my biggest supporter. He believed in me when I doubted myself. He pushed me to be better, and his sudden passing has left a void that words cannot fill. Terry wasn't just a friend, he was family in every way that mattered. He had this incredible ability to make my life brighter, turn ordinary moments into something unforgettable. He gave the kind of advice that stuck with you. He knew how to make you laugh when you wanted to cry. He was there for my highest moments, cheering me on, and in my lowest, reminding me I was never alone. I don't know how to navigate life without him, but I do know that every lesson he taught me, every act of kindness he showed, will stay with me forever. I only hope I can carry forward even a fraction of the goodness he brought into this world. Rest easy, Terry. I'll miss you every single day, but I'll keep your memory alive in the way that I live, in the kindness I show, and the love that I give, just as you always did. I want to thank Terry for everything he's done for me and also for the family. They have brought me in as a family member, and I was fortunate enough to be with Terry in his final hours, thanks to his family. So I just want to know that I love you all, and he is going to be forever missed. And thank you for sharing him with us. Adam would like to say something, but he's not going to. But we just want you to know this is Terry's son, Adam, who is amazing and Terry's very best friend. And we are going to stick together and take care of you. I promise you that. Okay? I love you.
Terry was right at home in front of a microphone. We're not.
You know what? He pushed me in front of a microphone one time, and he said, "Can you do a commercial for me?" And I practiced for a minute. And then we got in the car and we drove to the location, and then he looked at me, he goes, "That's really cool. Can you do it for 30?" And I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, "The show's 30 minutes. I just want the real Michelle." That's what he did to me. So, gives you a little bit about Terry, but thank you so much for letting us come up.
Thank you for sharing those kind words about Terry, and thank you to Terry's family for coming out and sharing Director Packer with us for so many years. We're so sorry for your loss. Okay, we will now move on to questions or input on the agenda from the public. This section will allow members of the public at the beginning of the meeting to address the council regarding items that are on tonight's business agenda. Questions asked may be responded to during the agenda item following a motion in support from your city council. Is there anyone on my left? Is there anyone on my right? Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on tonight's? Yes, Mr. Warren.
Good evening to the council and to the administration. Just a while ago in the study session, we were talking about monies. So this has to probably do with vouchers. I'm just trying to get an understanding that if basic citizens have to match dollar for dollar, and we have 3 city entities, such as the Friendship Center, Police Department, and Neighborhood Services, for $100,000, where do they get the money from to match it dollar for dollar in the grants? Question to you, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on tonight's agenda? Anyone else in the audience? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will close public comment on the agenda and move on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion?
Support.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart, support by Councilman Murkowski. Are there any changes to the consent calendar? Any changes to the consent calendar? Yes.
Thank you, Council President. I motion to move consent item E to new business, just for clarification of what this is.
There's a motion to move consent calendar item E to new business. Is there support? Support. Motion by Pro Tem Sampe, supported by Councilman Wishart. Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Baumann? Yes. Councilman Hart? Yes. Councilman Hornbuckle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murkowski? Yes. Pro Tem Sampe?
Yes.
Councilman Wishart?
Yes.
President McDermott?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, back to the motion as amended. Are there any other changes to the consent calendar? Any other changes to the consent calendar? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes as amended.
Council has approved the following consent calendar items. Approval of bid for mulch supply and installation services from Three Oaks Ground Cover. Administration recommends Three Oaks Ground Cover at a total cost not to exceed $46,836 for a 3-year term. Approval of Microsoft Exchange 365 license renewals for the Department of Community Media. Term of this license renewal for a 1-year period, amount not to exceed $20,011.20. Approval of aerial imagery service subscription renewal with Near Map US Inc. Subscription renewal is for a 1-year period, amount not to exceed $18,530. Introduction of ordinance 101-G-9-3, an ordinance to amend Westland City Code, Chapter 62, Article 7, Sections 62-336, 62-344, 62-371, 62-372, 62-373, 62-374, and 62-375 to prohibit certain uses of inhalants. Approval of request from P.D. Graham Elementary School to waive the administration fee of $645 for rental of the Farmers Market Pavilion for their annual event to be held Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. And the last item, adoption of prepared proclamation to proclaim the month of March 2025 Disabilities Awareness Month in the City of Westland. Moving to payment of voucher.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Rakowski, supported by Councilman Wishart. Is there any discussion from the maker? Okay, any discussion from the supporter? Okay, is there any other discussion from the council? Any other discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Seeing and hearing none, motion passes.
New business, item number 1, set public hearing date for the 2025-26 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Home Annual Plan. Suggested public hearing date of April 21st, 2025.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Baumann, supported by Councilman Wishart. Is there any discussion from the maker? Any discussion from the supporter? Any additional discussion from the council? Did Director Campbell have anything that you wanted to add? Okay. Any dissent? Any dissent? Seeing and hearing none, motion passes.
Okay. Just one moment, please. All right, so moving to new business, item 1A, formerly known as consent calendar item E, approve payment in lieu of taxes resolution for qualifying property 31627 Palmer Road at 4% of annual shelter rents until January 1, 2051.
There's a motion by Pro Tem Sampe. There is support from Councilman Hornbuckle. Looks like you have some discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Council President. So I just wanted to bring this into new business. This is something that has been going on for quite some time. I actually had a conversation with our city attorney who explained in full depth of what the program is. So I just will use this time through the chair to the city attorney just to explain a little bit more about what the pilot program is and what it does for the community, which actually does a lot of good. We have some letters of support in our packet, but again, I wanted to just let the attorney, our city attorney, as he brought it forward, explain this.
Through the chair, thank you. So this is a renewal of a payment in lieu of taxes, which is a concept, a pilot, as it's referred to as a concept to aid in low-income housing in an area. So in 1995, City Council approved the Norris Apartments Limited Dividend Housing Association Limited Partnership to hold a pilot because it was being funded by low-income housing tax credits from the state of Michigan to build the complex. It's 60 units, low and moderate income. The pilot allows for less to be charged to the facility in terms of taxes. It makes a payment in lieu of taxes instead, and that thus lowers the rental rate directly for those 60 units. So a pilot may stay in place as long as there's a HUD mortgage in place. There is a HUD mortgage in place that runs till January 2051. the renewal of the pilot, which has now run for 30 years. It would renew for till January 1, 2051, to match up with the HUD mortgage that exists for this property. But it's specifically designed to assist low to moderate income housing in your community, both by better financing through the LIHTC program, and then the city participates additionally by having a pilot instead of taxes which go up with the property values over time. So that's the concept here. It's a renewal of an existing pilot.
Any further questions?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for explaining that. I just want a clarification of just what that was, because as this is on our consent calendar, it may not give a lot of explanation behind what it is, but absolutely very supportive. We have a lot of letters of support and a lot of community members that have access to the lower payments of their rent, and I really appreciate them sharing their stories. I don't know if anyone's here this evening, but I just wanted to thank those that wrote the letter of support, so I will be in support of that this evening.
Okay. Did the supporter have any questions?
I'm just going to echo what my colleagues said here. It seems like a very great program, especially now where inflation is high. Great area in our city where people can't afford rent. So I definitely will be supporting this as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Is there any other discussion from the council? Any other discussion? Yes, Councilwoman Baumann.
I'm going to echo again, but I have to admit, I really appreciated all the letters. So if the homeowners are watching this at all, just that was huge. That was a huge part of this. So I just wanted to just thank again and echo that, because that really was, I like to see the community involved in the things that matter to them, and I think that was really good. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes.
New business, item number 2, minutes of regular meeting held March 3rd, 2025.
So moved. Support.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart, supported by, we're going to go with Councilman Hornbuckle. I heard 2 at this time. Is there any discussion from the maker?
No.
Any discussion from the supporter? No. Okay. Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Baumann?
Yes.
Councilman Hart?
Yes.
Councilman Hornbuckle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski?
Abstain due to absence.
Pro Tem Sampe?
Abstain due to absence.
Councilman Wishart?
Yes.
President McDermott?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, item number 3, confirmation of reappointment of Steve Smith to the Building Authority for a 6-year term to expire March 5th, 2031.
So moved.
Support.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilwoman Rakowski. Before we get to council comments, City Administration have anything they wanted to add with regards to the reappointment?
No, we just thank council for the opportunity to reappoint Steve to the Building Authority.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Were there any comments from the maker?
None.
Any comments from the supporter?
No, thank you.
Okay. Any additional discussion from the council? Any additional discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes. Congratulations, Director Smith.
New business, item number 4, confirmation of reappointment of Roger Shiflett to the Building Authority for a 6-year term to expire March 5th, 2031.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Baumann. Is there support? Supported by Councilwoman Rakowski. Did the administration have anything that they wanted to add before we get to council discussion?
No, just that Roger was sick today, otherwise he would have been here for this evening's meeting. Again, Roger's been on the Building Authority for several years, along with Steve and Bob Fritz, who is up next for reappointment. So we'd like to see the board continue. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any discussion from the maker? Any discussion from the supporter? No. Is there any additional discussion from the council? Any additional discussion from the council? Any dissent?
Dissent.
There is dissent. Okay. Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Baumann?
Yes.
Councilman Hart?
Yes.
Councilman Hornbuckle?
No.
Councilwoman Rakowski?
No.
Pro Tem Sampe? No. Councilman Wishart.
No.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Motion fails. New business, item number 5, confirmation of reappointment of Bob Fritz to the Building Authority for a 6-year term to expire March 5th, 2031.
So moved.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilwoman Rakowski. Again, does the administration have anything they'd like to add?
Unfortunately, Mr. Fritz wasn't able to make it here this evening either for his reappointment. He had previous commitment.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion from the maker?
No.
Any discussion from the supporter?
No.
Is there any additional discussion from the council? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes.
New business, item number 6, approval of proposed rezoning from R2 Single Family Residential District to THR Townhouse at 37433 Beechwood, north of Ford Road and southeast corner of Beechwood and Newburgh. Planning Department number 1683A. Administration recommends approval contingent upon departmental requirements and recommendations, and if approved, directs the city attorney to draft the necessary ordinance amendment.
Support.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Rakowski, supported by Councilman Hart. Vote.
Thanks, Council President. Good evening, City Council. We have 2 subject parcels here. They're made up of about 18,000 square feet, and one of them contains a single-family dwelling, the one on the west side of this site. The petitioner tonight is requesting to rezone these 2 parcels to townhouse residential, and if successful, we'll end up combining them, and this is to proceed with a proposed development that contains 2 townhouse residential buildings totaling 7 units, 4 on the eastern building and 3 on the western building. The rendering and building will look like this, utilizing brick material on the facade. One of the 2 parcels, as I mentioned, contains a single-family dwelling. That's what it looks like there today. The 2018 master plan future land use designation for this site is single-family residential, so this is a deviation from that. This property is located here at the intersection of Newburgh and Beechwood, so we think it would be an appropriate rezoning if the city council wished to do that. Properties to the north are zoned R2, single-family residential, and developed by single-family dwellings. Property to the east, CB3, general business, and this is Neil's Party Store. Property to the south is undeveloped, zoned R2, single-family residential, and property on the west, here's one undeveloped single-family residential zoned property, and the one to the north is developed by a single-family dwelling, also zoned single-family residential. At the March 4th Planning Commission meeting, there were no residents spoke about this petition. The Planning Commission and administration did recommend approval. If the City Council does approve this tonight, the petitioner will be required to bring forward a site plan for approval at a later date when they choose to do that. The petitioner is also here to answer any questions you have too. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. If the petitioner would like to come up here to the dais. And before I turn the council over to questions, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No. Good evening.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the maker? Yes.
Good evening.
Hi.
Thank you so much for bringing your potential to our city, and obviously you're looking to increase the residential space of those 2 lots into homes for 7 people instead of perhaps or 7 families instead of perhaps 2. I'll be in support of this because I feel that it fits the area well. So I don't really have any questions, but I will be looking forward to seeing your site plan in the future.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. Anything from the supporter?
I'll be brief, Council President. So I would agree with my colleague. It matches pretty much the use to the northeast corner, if you look, kind of the same kind of townhouse layout. So it's consistent for the area, and investment in that area, in that corner. I haven't seen anything I think, since I could ever recall. So a little shot in the arm in that area might be good for it. So I'm supportive and encourage my colleagues to do the same. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there any other discussion from the council? Yes, Councilwoman Baumann.
Thank you. Just one question, and I believe this was asked at the Planning Commission, but are these going to be for sale or rentals?
Rentals.
Rentals, okay. Thank you.
Anything else, Councilwoman? Any other discussion from the council? Any other discussion? Yes, Pro Tem.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just before you head out, I wanted to see what your timeline for build was on the property.
So hopefully, if everything is going as planned, hopefully we'll have our permit around June or July, and then we want to start right away. Could be possible to have the construction done within 12 to 18 months.
Okay, so the build would be a 12 to 18 months?
Yes, from June.
From June.
The day of
Okay.
permitting, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, too.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from the council? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes. Best of luck.
New business, item number 7, approval of proposed land division located at 35857 Joy Road, south side of Joy and west of Newburgh. Planning Department number 2273. Planning Commission recommends approval, and if approved, directs the city attorney to draft the necessary land division resolution.
Is there support? Motion by Councilwoman Baumann, supported by Councilman Hornbuckle. Director Ayub?
Thank you. Subject parcel here, it's outlined in yellow. It's about 2.5 acres. It's zoned PUD, planned unit development, and the underlying zoning is single-family residential. The property is also developed by a single-family dwelling there on the left-hand side of that red line, going north and south. The petitioner is proposing or requesting to split the property into 2 buildable single-family residential lots with the purpose of building a home on the resulting parcel. Both parcels will continue to comply with the minimum requirements of the single-family residential district, and this parcel will continue to comply with the required setbacks for that district as well after the split. The split line is here, so this is one parcel and this is the second parcel. At the March 4th Planning Commission meeting, no one spoke about this petition. The Planning Commission and administration are recommending approval. This is what the survey looks like. Again, that big parcel here on the east side, 1.9 acres with 61 foot of frontage. Parcel B, 0.6 acres with 103 feet of frontage. This is the home I was referring to earlier, and the property owner / petitioner is in the audience. Thank you.
Okay, if the property owner would like to come forward. Good evening, sir. Before I turn the council over to you for questions, anything you'd like to add?
No, he covered it wonderfully.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything from the maker? Okay, anything from the supporter?
The supporter was.
Oh, yes, sorry, anything, yes, nothing from you? Okay, I see Councilwoman Rakowski.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening. When I'm looking at your plan here, I didn't get the clarity, and I just wanted clarity for the audience and the people who will be watching in the future. So this will be through the chair to Director Ayub. So you said that the parcel as it stands currently is PUD?
Correct.
Okay. And so you see that in the red section, there's one single-family home that exists, correct? Okay. So I'm going to defer to the petitioner at this point. Are you looking to build in the red parcel, or are you going to be building in the yellow parcel?
No, there's a house already existing. in
Yeah, I
the
didn't
red.
know if you were going to knock it down.
and I'm going to improve that. And in the new parcel, I'm going to build one house, yeah.
Okay. And on this new parcel, where exactly do you foresee the foundation of your home being placed?
Pretty much in the center of the open area, depending a little bit on which direction I'm bringing the sewer in from. But yeah, right where the dot is, yep.
All right. Well, it's not my plan, so I find it interesting. I just would, as, in real estate, if you ever wanted to make future splits to your lot, you've got you'll have a few years, you'll have to wait. Is there a reason that you're only splitting it into 2 parcels?
Not really.
No? Okay.
To my experience, and I've only built a few other times, I would need a certain amount of frontage on Joy.
Right.
And to my knowledge, I'm not able to share a driveway.
The frontage was the big thing in
The frontage,
in the
because
split.
there's only one
Driveway.
access to it. I would have loved to have gotten 15 units on there if I could have, but
Well, I mean,
I'm not trying to
it may or
overbuild.
may not be where I was trying
Right.
to lead you to.
But as far as I know, and if somebody could tell me otherwise, that's great, but I think I needed that much to get back to that lot. There's not more than one access to it. If I could have cut it into 2 other pieces and shared a driveway, that would have been an option, but again, I have never built in Westland, but in Farmington Hills and other places, you can't share a driveway. So I thought that was my only option.
I don't believe it is your only option, because there's a lot of driveways that are shared in the city.
All ears.
So that's just my 2 cents.
I'm all ears.
Good luck to you with the development you want to make, but I would look a little bit further into that possibility.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Markowski. Councilman Hart.
Thank you, Council President. Again, Mo, I got to step into my Wayback Machine here, so it's going to be a recurrence. I remember in my early years on the council, I say that like it was such a long time ago, it was only 7 years ago. But I remember when we had issues before with a number of properties like this where they were stacked front to back. And we had some discussion in a study session. We also had some discussion with your predecessor. And I remember the words going, and that's why we don't allow these anymore. So kind of refresh my memory a little bit about what the downsides were when we had this kind of arrangement. Now, I know for exactly sure there's one 4 doors down from me on Farmington Road where there's a house in front. And they'll actually let them build the house in front of a house that had a far setback. And then there's this little driveway right next to them. And it ended up being a problem. And there's a bunch of them, I think, or a few of them around here in Gray Street as well in this area.
Yep.
What was the issue then? Why were we concerned? I'm trying to remember. Do you remember what the problem was then? Or the frustration was? And if you,
I don't know if I was here for that, but I do recall this property in this specific area, and I don't know if this is what you're referring to, but this property owner being upset that these homes were being built here,
Right.
and the concern then was privacy issues. This parcel here that's being proposed is fully compliant with all of the zoning requirements.
okay.
And so we talked about providing access, and we talked about providing the required frontage along Joy with this, which this parcel will comply with both as proposed. I was not here during those conversations.
I kind of remember it had something to do with, utility easements, access, and things of that nature, but I could get it in my mind.
a fire truck?
Well, I don't know.
Because that was one of them.
Okay. Well, a driveway's a driveway, I guess. To the petitioner, I was going to ask you if you're going to live there, but I've gleaned that this is not where you're going to live. This is an investment property for you. Or are you just going to reserve that answer?
Not necessarily true. Actually, my son's living in the front house, and I'm
Okay.
looking to build the back one for my daughter.
Okay.
Every father's dream to have their kids live together somewhere, right? Especially on some acreage where they can raise chickens and all that good stuff.
Okay.
That's why I didn't pack it in with condos or anything. They're looking for a room, a little homesteading action that the younger people are now wanting to do.
Okay.
As if you've driven by that house, you'll see my son's attempted to grow stuff there in the yard. Unfortunately, it's 2.5 acres of beach sand.
Sure.
And nobody knew that was existing in Westland when we bought it. Now we know. Where I live in Frampton Hills, it's all the opposite. It's all clay. I can't plant a flower without a pickaxe.
Yeah, I'll take the beach sand over the clay.
And that's much better, but still, if you're trying to grow anything,
Right.
it goes nowhere. So, but anyways, yeah, that's my hope.
So what kind, just last question, now just out of matter of curiosity. I mean, what size home are you looking to build back there, square footage wise?
12 to 1,400 square foot ranch. I'm
Okay.
a real estate agent myself, actually, for most of my adult life, and I know that ranches always do sell, and they're always needed. So if it doesn't work out long-term, it'll be easy to sell,
Yeah,
obviously.
the branches go right away, don't they? You gonna do a stick build or a manufactured?
Stick.
Okay. All right, it's interesting. I know we talked about this before, but if you're gonna put your daughter and your son on the same parcel, God help you. Especially if your daughter's house is bigger than your son's house is gonna be, you're gonna
Yeah,
have more
that
fun.
might be, which is why I'm going to have to fix up the other one. It's going to be a long-standing.
All right, I've had enough fun. Good luck. It's not the first iteration of this in this neighborhood, as you can see. That's why it struck a chord. I'll be in support. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Hart. Any other discussion from the council? Councilwoman Baumann? Oh, I thought you were leaning up to do, any other discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
New business, item number 8, approval of proposed site plan and special land use approval for automobile washing establishment at 6501 North Wayne Road, parcel number 56-034-99-0030-704, northwest corner of Wayne Road and Hunter Avenue, Planning Department number 19411. Planning Commission recommends approval of the proposed special land use and site plan as proposed contingent upon departmental requirements and recommendations.
So moved.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilwoman Baumann. Director Ayub.
Thank you. Subject property here is Zone CB3, General Commercial Business. Property comprises 1.9 acres and contains approximately 11,000 square foot single-story vacant building previously occupied by CVS. The petitioner proposes to transform the vacant building into a car wash. The petitioner is seeking site plan and special land use approval to proceed with this project. Property to the north is zoned CB3, General Commercial, developed by Hunter Retail Plaza. On the south, we have Hunter Wayne Liquor, also zoned CB3. Property to the west, also Hunter Retail Center Plaza, zone CB3. And on the east side there, across the street, is a vacant parcel zoned CB1. The site will be accessed by existing driveways along Wayne and Hunter that are shared with the Hunter Retail Plaza and the Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant. 2 driveways are located at Wayne Road and 2 driveways are located at Hunter Road. The proposed site contains, pull up the site plan, stacking that is controlled using a curb. The stacking area does also contain an emergency escape lane if someone needs to exit for any reason. The site complies with the parking requirement for a car wash, far exceeding the minimum requirement, keeping most of the CVS parking in place. The site plan was accompanied by a traffic impact study prepared by a certified traffic engineer. The study examined the potential traffic impact of the adjacent roadways with the addition of the car wash, and the study found no significant impact on traffic operations of the adjacent roadway. And the study did also take into consideration that there was traffic there when the CVS was opened as well. Landscape screening is existing along Wayne Road and Hunter Road in compliance with the previously approved site plan for the CVS. However, the developer is proposing additional new landscaping, shrubs, and trees throughout the parking lot areas and both Hunter and Wayne Road frontages. A detailed landscaping plan was provided, and a portion of that is up on your screen. The proposed hours of operation, which may change, are currently 7 a.m., 8 p.m. on weekdays, and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. The existing building is constructed with masonry and EIFS. This will remain. There will be some minor modifications on the facade, including signage that you see up on the screen. The proposed building, as mentioned, is existing. It complies with all of the bulk requirements, some of which include height, lot coverage, and all of the setbacks. The 2018 City of Westland Master Plan Future Land Use Designation for this property actually splits the property in half. So we have, I'm going to draw this imaginary line here. On the right side of my cursor, the east side, approximately a third of the property is shop and dine district, and the remaining 2/3 of it to the west is community commercial. This site plan, or proposal rather, was presented to the Planning Commission on March 4th as well. No one spoke about this petition from the community. The Planning Commission and administration are recommending approval, and we have the petitioner and his team here as well. Thank you.
And would the petitioner like to come on up? Thank you all for joining us. Before I turn it over to the council, anything you'd like to add?
No, but good evening, everyone. Eric Williams with Stonefield Engineering and Design. Mr. Brandon Kassab is also in, oh, sorry, he moved on me. Brandon Kassab is also here. We're happy to be back in front of you. I know we were here just a couple months ago looking at an alternate site, and this seems like a much better opportunity, and we're excited to be back. I think Mo elaborated on most of the details. I think he gave you a good high-level synopsis on what we are seeking to do. But again, we saw the closed CVS as a great opportunity to revitalize that particular corner, drive a little more traffic into this particular shopping center, hopefully assist the businesses, provide a service to the community. I think Mo got the hours of operation correct. In terms of traffic impacts, I think one of the things that we like about this particular layout is the way the CVS operates today is going to remain largely unchanged. You kind of have the counterclockwise circulation of the drive-through for where the pharmacy pickup is today, and that's going to be largely how the car wash operates. As you go around the site, you'll obviously enter the wash kind of at the top right or northeast corner of the building. You'll circulate south through the building. And then you'll continue west, where you have three options. One is to make an immediate right-hand turn back into the inside of the building, where there's actually 8 fully enclosed vacuum spaces. So I know we're in Michigan. I think this is another great amenity for the particular car wash users is enclosed vacuums, rain, snow. You can go ahead and vacuum, and you're at least contained within the building. There's obviously additional vacuums on the west-hand side of the west side of the site. And then from there, you can obviously exit back to either Hunter or Wayne Road. No new driveway approaches, so I think in terms of access management, no real changes here, really just looking to reuse what exists. I think everybody's been by the site. Obviously, the building's a little tired, but I think it's a solidly built building, so we're looking to just renovate, clean up some of the pieces of the facade, obviously supplement with additional landscaping, and I think if you've driven by the frontage trees are actually pretty mature, so we'll probably clean those up a little bit, trim them up, and it'll be a great site once it's open. With that, happy to answer any questions.
All right. First up, Councilman Hart.
Council President. I think this is a good example of what happens when developers spend some time and talk to the council and actually figure out what a good idea is, and let's work together. As we remember, we'll jog everybody's memory, this originally, it was proposed for Alexander's Car Wash, and I think all of us are, Alexander the Great, yeah, excuse me.
Alexander's Car Wash.
I'm thinking faster than I'm speaking. So, but I think we all clutched our pearls at that moment, and you know, it's a restaurant location. It's right in the heart of the shop and dine, and I think the council felt the same way a lot of residents did. That goes, you know, I don't have a problem with clean car wash. I just have a problem with right there, and I think I'm pretty much paraphrasing what I said then. Following that meeting, Councilwoman Urkowski and I had a time to talk to the developers, and we said, look, we're not saying no to you, we're just saying no to that spot. But, you know, I don't want to turn you away. Let's figure out what other alternatives we got, okay? And we came on this one, and I said, what about the CVS over there? And, you know, it's closed. And right now, the only thing that's going to happen in that spot of that size is a Spirit Halloween, you know, or, you know, a dollar store that, quite frankly, they're not going to do anything but maybe sweep the parking lot and hang up a fabric sign. They're coming and they're really doing a full rehab, inside and outside, and cleaning that parking lot up. And what I like about it, too, is there's a symbiotic relationship between this car wash and the other residents or the other tenants in that shopping strip, okay? This is going to be good for B-dubs. This is going to be good for the buffet that's in there, and then their business is going to be good for them as well. So I know that I'm in that B-dubs quite often with my family. It's one of our favorite spots, and it's, hey, let's get a car wash real quick before we go to dinner, or vice versa, get it out. So I think it's going to work out great. I do really like the concept of you using the entire building and actually adding the indoor vacuums. That's going to be a big sell. You know, I think people are going to really like that. So as with always, I'm supportive of it, happy to see it, looking forward to you really cleaning the property up. That's what really, it's just selling us on it as well. And just remember to be good stewards and good neighbors, as always. If we don't get phone calls, we're having a good day. All right, so I'll be supportive. Thank you for working with us, and I encourage my colleagues to support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hart. Anything from the supporter?
That's you.
I agree with Councilman Hart and a lot of this, but one of the things that when I saw the new plan, because yes, I did have some previous conversations as well and talked about some different opportunities, and when the CVS conversation came up, it was like, well, that's an interesting way of doing that, of putting it there. That's an interesting place to do. As well, the whole idea of repurposing a building, I mean, even the drawings or the pictures, the layouts in the packet here, you can see CVS in the building, so you can still see it was there. So I think that was a really great idea to do that. And of course, I love the concept of the indoor vacuums, and knowing that those are free, obviously, right? Is that correct? The vacuums are free at the car wash, so people can just come by and, you know, take care of that dog hair. So I'm also in support of this. I know that, I think that is a great use of that, and we have some other businesses, you know, even on the other side, south of, is that south? South of the building there, the Hunter, some chicken, they can go get some chicken as well after that, and chicken and pizza. So thank you for coming back, and not just like taking the no and walking away. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Baumann. Councilwoman Rakowski.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, gentlemen. First, I wanted to thank them for being open to the idea of having a conversation about, you know, if not there, where. And I really appreciate the fact that they wanted to continue to be a part of our Westland community. So, you know, my hat's off to you, and I appreciated that opportunity. You know, this CVS has been vacant for who knows how, you know, I can't even tell how long, few years at least. But you see it in every other community. It becomes a Dollar Tree. Not that there's anything wrong with a Dollar Tree, but I think we have our fill of Dollar Trees. And, you know, I know some people are going to feel the same way about car washes, but I think you have something pretty unique with having the interior vacuums. That's not something that any that I know of in Westland have, and particularly with our weather, that'd be something, because, you know, my son's been harping on me. He's 10. He's like, we need to go to the car wash and clean the car. I'm like, it's too cold. So I think you'll have a lot more people visiting you just for that amenity in and of itself. But truly, I think it's going to be a good shot in the arm for that area. Maybe it'll spawn a little bit more reinvestment. You know, there's some great opportunities across the street over there. You know, the vintage restaurant and the former Taco Bell certainly need to be found too. So, you know, if you have any other friends that are investing, I'm advocating for a smoothie location over there. But thank you for, like I said, continuing the dialogue and not giving up on us. And I'll be in support of it. And I'm looking forward to the revitalization of that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rakowski. Councilman Wishart.
Thank you, Council President.
as someone who lives currently a block and a half away from this building, I am thrilled to see something done with it. Me and my wife actually just recently talked about it, wanting something done with this, and I'm just happy to see this. As much as I'd love to see Spirit Halloween there, I think this is a much better use, and I'm going to drive by it every day and probably use it once a week.
Okay. Councilman Hornbuckle.
I feel like I'm the odd one. I am going to support this, so don't take my comments the wrong way. I'm just not thrilled about another car wash in the city. I think the renderings are amazing, looks really nice. My concerns, I talked to the chief about this in length, is the traffic, making sure that we are aware of the traffic. And I had one recommendation, I'm not sure who would be responsible for it, but the exit onto Wayne Road, if we can put a now left-hand turn between certain hours, that would be great. Like I said, I'm happy it's there. I think it's going to spark some activity in that area, which is great. The only thing I can say is another car wash. But other than that, I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Pro Tem Samby.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming back. I don't want to belabor the point because I think my colleagues said it very nicely, but I think you have a nice selling feature with the inside vacuums. I think that there's other car washes that do the same, but they don't have the inside. So that's a huge feature that I'm assuming that you guys are going to tout. My colleagues talked about this, the economic growth and development, and in that area in particular, a lot of businesses have failed. So I think you guys are going to bring a new flavor to that corner. Now, social media does, we often listen, does say, oh, another car wash, but I think you guys do have an opportunity to deliver a good service. There's a few different car washes that I've seen started out great, and now there's a lot of vehicles that stuck on the track or cars destroyed. So I'm assuming you guys are going to have a really great product and offer a great service. I encourage you guys to let us know how it's going, but I will be in support of that this evening. Thank you, Brandon, for hanging in with us and finding a new location, and obviously my colleagues for supporting it. So I will support it, but I do support you too on that, on the signage, because I see Hunter in some ways can be very busy, and you have one exit coming out of Hunter's, which has phenomenal chicken, by the way, Hunter's, love them. And then you have people coming out of the car wash, it could have some issues. So I'm assuming you'll work with the chief and we'll find a good solution, but want to thank you for bringing this to the council.
Okay, thank you, Pro Tem. So when you guys brought this up last time at the old Alexander the Great's restaurant site, I was the lone supporter of this. So I'll be happy to support this again. I think the sentiment from a lot of residents is, oh, another car wash. And we had that sentiment when Tommy's was built. But as we've seen from Tommy's Car Wash, it has been very highly trafficked. And it's brought business to that corner, in combination with the Dairy Queen. So there's a lot of through traffic that I think hits both businesses at once. I will say that car wash is not my favorite thing. Some of the comments that I read, on places like Westland Community News and elsewhere on social media were, great, another car wash, this isn't what I want, what about a restaurant or something like that? There are 2 vacant parcels there that have been vacant for quite some time. The old Big Boy's location right there at the corner of Hunter and Wayne I think Big Boy's been out of there for 5 or 6 years now. And then the former Tabbouleh To Go, former Taco Bell's was mentioned, former everything, I think, just about. They've had every restaurant in there, is vacant as well. So there are 2 restaurant parcels right there that a developer could come in and develop if they so choose. We appreciate the business investment here in the community, appreciate you working with the administration, working with the council, and my 2 colleagues in particular, and Councilman Hart, Councilman Rakowski, to find this new location and find hopefully even better spot than where we were at the start of the Shop in 9 District there at Alexander the Great's. So, again, a car wash, I don't think anybody's going to be here, fist pumping like the Lions won the Super Bowl or something, but we do appreciate the business here. I think it is going to revitalize the corner, as several of my colleagues have mentioned, and we appreciate your investment here in the city, and I will be in support of that. With that, is there any other discussion from the council? Any other discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
New business, item number 9, approval of proposed special land use for a serpentarium at 958 North Newburgh, east side of Newburgh, north of Cherry Hill Road, Planning Department number 2055B. Planning Commission recommends approval contingent upon departmental requirements and recommendations.
We're going to say motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilwoman Rakowski. Sorry about that, Councilman. Director Ayub.
Okay, save the best one for last. The subject property here is Zone CB3, General Commercial Business. It contains approximately 14,000 square foot retail plaza outlined there in yellow. The petitioner is requesting special land use approval to operate a serpentarium in one of the approximately 1,000 square foot vacant spaces in the retail plaza. A serpentarium is a reptile exhibition space showcasing a variety of reptiles and species. There's a couple of them throughout the region. Devin and I took our kids a couple months ago to the one in Utica. Separate ownership from this one here today. I say that because when I first received this inquiry, I was a bit confused from a legal standpoint, so I checked with police, fire, our law department, and reached out to a variety of state and also federal agencies. So we did check boxes on all of that stuff. So I just wanted to mention that. The reptiles will be in enclosed spaces. There are no modifications being proposed to the existing site at all, with the exception of this occupancy, which is a special land use approval. The parcel was previously developed by the existing retail plaza, and the site, including landscaping, parking, and all of those zoning requirements, continue to comply with the previously approved site plan. For the record, the future land use designation is neighborhood commercial / office services. At the March 4th Planning Commission meeting, no one spoke from the public about this petition. And the Planning Commission did recommend approval. The business owner and the petitioner is here tonight if you have any questions for them. Thank you.
And would the petitioner like to step forward? And no, not a million years. Give it away.
Hey, how are you?
Before we turn it over to the council, anything you'd like to add?
No, Mo did an incredible job. Thanks, man.
Okay. Is there anything from the maker? Sure. All right.
Ready? How you doing?
Doing great. About yourself?
Good, good, good. So I was excited to see this on the agenda, and I made some phone calls right away, but not to the government organizations that Mo did, to some friends of mine. One of them being my uncle, who is a published herpetologist. So he was really excited, and he reminisced about them trying to do this 30, 40 years ago and had a lot more trouble, but now it's not that bad. Question, any hots or all non-venomous?
There will be some venomous, yes,
There
sir.
will be some venomous,
Yes, sir.
okay. So my daughter and I really love looking at gaboon vipers, so if you got one, let me know, because we'll
Okay.
come by and see a gaboon. But yeah, if it's venomous, just, keep them in the glass, thank you.
100%,
But,
yes, sir.
no, really excited. It's going to be fun. I think my kids will be there. We have ball pythons. We have 3 of them. I had one till recently and he passed, but no, excited to do it. Excited to see it. I want you guys to do well, and it's something cool for everybody to look at. So I'll be in support. It's going to be neat, Council President. I'm excited. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Anything from the supporter?
Oh, sure. I guess the irony isn't lost on me that we're talking about a serpentarium on St. Patrick's Day. So, so we're leading them to Westland, I suppose. I have to tell you, I'm a little afraid, but I will support you. It's one of those, okay, we're going to have to do the bravery check and go check it out. So if you hear anybody crying or running away from it, it's probably me, because it terrifies me. But I think my kid would enjoy it to no end. I think it's going to be something different and interesting for folks to enjoy and perhaps even break some of our fears. So an interesting concept. I've never been to anything like that. So looking forward to seeing what you're going to bring to the area.
Looking forward to having you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rakowski. Any other? Yes, Councilman Wishart.
I think, Council President, I am just glad you fit the stereotype that I thought it would be.
Okay, great. I'm so glad.
That's it? Okay. Pro Tem Sampian. Okay.
Thank you. How many square feet is it?
We believe it's 1,200. It was sold to us as 1,600, though.
16, okay,
So
great.
it's much bigger than the space we're in now.
Okay, perfect. Well, like Councilwoman Rakowski, I'm deathly afraid of snakes. Other reptiles I'm good, but snakes, it's like, ooh, don't do well around them, but that's okay. The heart palpitations and everything. But a very neat concept for this area. I think people often think of bringing new businesses and let's try to do an attraction or something different. So I'm excited. I saw comments online and people are over the moon. They're so excited. They're talking just great things. So I know they're going to be ready for you guys to open up. Just a really cool attraction and something different. So good luck to you, and I will be in support.
Thank you.
All right. Councilwoman Baumann.
So I actually have a memory question. Were you guys at the Halloween thing last year with, no, okay. All right, so because there were some people that were there that they had their fun fake dinosaurs, so I just wasn't sure if it was you guys too. So just trying to remember. As a mom of two boys who, when we go to the zoo or Belle Isle, this is all they want to see, is they want to see the snakes and they want to find the snakes. And so I will say, obviously the one thing is we never like to look for the snakes behind glass when there isn't one. So I'm thinking you'll be nicely well stocked with these snakes for.
Yes, ma'am. We'll have plenty. Don't worry.
And I know, I did watch the planning commission, so I did watch that there was a lot of questions about the safety and security and making sure that things are really, that, snakes cannot get loose.
Yeah.
Because that is, that is one of the concerns I've ever heard. So I also am in support of this. I think it is a really neat thing to have, like I said, from an attraction perspective and something different. Because, that was, at first I thought it was for snakes for sale, but then it's not. It's actually closer to like the zoo reptile area and Belle Isle. Have you been to the Belle Isle Aquarium?
Yes, ma'am.
The snake, yeah. So, and it's just really neat. So thank you for bringing it to Westland.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. All right, Councilman Hornbuckle.
All right. So I have some questions about safety. And
Sure.
Mo, you already said the fire department being signed off on. So you know where I'm going with this then. But just going back, I'm still your wave back machine. We had an animal place down in Garden City that caught on fire. I just want confirmation from the fire chief that if something like that hopefully never happens, are you guys prepared to handle something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chief?
Yeah, so we did have that discussion, and, I'm sure the owner will know that, if there's venomous snakes in there and there's a fire, we're probably not going to be very aggressive on our fire attack. We don't have a problem with it. We're hoping to visit there shortly. We're going to do some team building exercises there, so. Yeah, no, I think with that one concern is that if there's venomous snakes in there, we're not going to be moving around in there in fire conditions with things that break glass, so.
We do have aftermarket fire detectors, so I don't know if that helps. It alerts us through Wi-Fi, and it should, if we can communicate with you guys, send you an immediate notification if there was any type of alerts in the building.
Just thinking about what happened in Garden.
Very smart
Garden
still,
City,
no.
so top of my eye. But no, I think this is great. I will be there. My kids will be there. I think it's great educational for the kids. I think you're gonna have a lot of support. And I believe they talked about coming to some city events to help educate people. So I would encourage you to stay involved with the city.
Absolutely.
And be embraced. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Councilman Hart, did you have something else?
Yeah, I just have two smart aleck things to say. So I imagine you at least got one big 9-foot-plus albino berm or something.
Yes, it's a reticulated python.
Oh, a retic. They're a
Yeah.
little bit more temperamental than berms are, but okay.
It's
Is he
a
cool?
baby, don't worry. Yeah.
Okay. And if you're worried about the fire, Councilman Hornbuckle, I just remind you to go back in the Wayback Machine. Do you remember that scene from Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure when he had to save the pets from the pet store? The snakes were the last thing out, and he passed out carrying them. So I imagine the fire department will be the same way. Right. Thanks again, I appreciate it. Thank you, Council President, for indulging my silliness.
All right. Well, I'd just like to add thank you for your unique investment to our city here. Is this your only location you operate, or do you have other locations you've
We're
operated?
in White Lake currently. We're trying to move out of there. There was a misunderstanding about their ordinance, so that's why we're going through all these steps here to make sure there's no misunderstandings and everything's done properly and above board. We're
So-
looking forward to becoming a part of the community.
You'll just be moving from the White Lake location right here to Westland?
Yes.
Great. And then to Director Ayoub, because this is a animal facility, is that what requires it to be a special land use? So whether this was this type of facility or a pet store, is that what the SLU is for?
Amusement, the zoning ordinance states amusement facilities, and then there's a few examples in the ordinance, so that's how I classified it as an amusement establishment, I think is the exact verbiage. But no, not directly related to animals, but due to the safety concerns that were just kind of briefly mentioned, I think that classification as a special land use was important to make.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question, and then I have, one of my colleagues has one more question. What kind of, volume traffic do you get at the White Lake location, and what are you really anticipating in terms of foot traffic here?
It's hard to answer that question because we're not open to the public currently in White Lake.
Okay.
It's just kind of a private thing, and we keep these animals as pets, but we're trying to move it to more of a public. We have people come over, and we don't usually charge them, but friends and family, and they always tell us, you should do something with this, and we're kind of going to make it happen, so.
Here you are, okay. All right, well, that's all I have. Councilman Hornbuckle?
One last question, I think this for Mo. Have the neighbor tenants been notified that this was coming?
Everyone, this is special land use, so everyone, including the retail plaza, obviously the owner knows, was notified. No one came to the planning commission meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion from the council before we let them slither away? Any dissent? I'm sorry, I have dad jokes, I'm here till 10. Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes. Best of luck and thank you for your investment in the city.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great night.
Okay. All right, we will now move on to public comment. Everyone speaking before the council shall do so in a civil manner. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, vulgar language, disruptive outbursts, threats, racial slurs, or other conduct that interferes with the orderly conduct of the business meeting. Personal attacks on council members, the administration, city staff, other speakers, or members of the public will not be tolerated. The clock will start upon the first words of the speaker and will not stop while the speaker is recognized from the floor. The speaker can ask questions at this time, and the person questioned may respond during the speaker's allotment of time. However, the clock will not be stopped once it is started. The clock will continue to run until the 3 minutes is up or the person is done speaking, whichever comes first. Is there anyone on my right? Yes, sir, Mr. Pruitt.
Hello, Edward Pruitt here, and I just wanted to come today to really speak on businesses in our community. We all know right now that the Wayne Road is closed due to Wayne County's construction on the bridge. We've seen it before with the Merriman Bridge and how it had a negative impact on the community. I don't want to see that happen in this area. Our businesses are, they're so very important. All the businesses have families, the employees there, families of the employees as well. I'm grateful to the communication that I've had from the administration. There's some plans and works that's already being put out right now. We see it on social media with highlights of businesses in those areas. There's also other avenues, aspects that have occurred, which is there's a sign now that says those areas are open to ensure that people know that those businesses are there. I wanted to come here today and speak on it because I want to encourage anyone who's watching to be intentional about that area. We definitely want to help all of our businesses in our city. But when we have such a situation where they can't control the outcomes, we really want to be intentional. So every community member, every council member, every administration official, if we can take some time to really hit these restaurants in this area, not just the restaurants, because there are other businesses there as well that aren't just eateries. Eateries is fun. Westland loves eateries. We love pizza. We love pretty much everything. Mexican food. Let's look at all the businesses in those areas so that we can really ensure that we are helping. The other piece of that is it's not just the closest proximity that's being affected as well. We have a lot of businesses down the road because the traffic has to go around now. The traffic that normally would go straight down to Warren Road, on Wayne Road, is impacted as well. So there may be, for instance, the McDonald's, even the Target over in that area, other areas, other aspects as well. So if we can really make sure that we look at the whole facet of that area as community members, I think it's going to be very, very important for the forward movement of our city and the economic drivers as well. And thank you to the administration for all the work you're doing as well.
Thank you. Is there anyone on my left wishing to speak? Yes, Ms. Wilson.
Another year is here. I'm here to beat a dead horse with a rubber speed hump. Okay? So, this is March. Probably have maybe about a couple more dustings of snow. When are they going to start putting down the speed humps? How many are going to be allocated for each street and block of Annapolis Park and Carver Sub? That's including Irene. We need this stuff down there. Because once again, I'm going to tell you, I saw your police officer and I followed him. Came down Merriman, went down Van Born, went right back up Middle Belt, didn't come through Annapolis Park, didn't go through Carver Sub, just kept on going. So now I'm telling you, take care of your people. Number two, I want to wish Mr. Wilson a rest in love, happy 104th birthday. He would have been 104. Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Is there anyone on, I just said thank you. Is there anyone on our, yes, sir.
I'm Gary Kaufman of Westland with a few quick comments on a range of topics. Firstly, I had occasion about 10 years ago to go to the Freedom Festival fireworks downtown at Hart Plaza. I arrived early with time to kill, so I came up with the idea of approaching every police officer that I could, and I said to each one of them, there was about 75 of them, these exact words: thank you for your service and for laying your life on the line every day. And most of the officers were very enthused to have somebody come up and say that to them. So it's a fun habit that I've continued and I recommend to anybody. And speaking of appreciated police work, last week I had occasion to witness what I considered some spectacular police work by Westland's Officer Jay Gilbert and Sergeant, in partnership with Sergeant McCrae. And it was wonderful, and I'm hoping to get the mayor to send them a letter of commendation. And speaking of public servants, I've been fortunate over the years to become familiar with and to meet a number of mayors. And I want to just share my opinion on the two most impressive mayors that I've ever met, which are the wonderful Tim Greimel of Pontiac and our own equally wonderful Kevin Coleman. And lastly, as a favor to anybody who might be apartment searching in the area right now, I was surprised last week to learn that the Orchards of Newburgh, which are on the east side of Newburgh, just north of Glenwood Avenue, has current vacancies. And I know these apartments to be wonderfully landscaped with great floor plan and a very friendly, easy to deal with apartment management. And
the best thing about them is that they offer about 50% more square footage per price than the average apartments in nearby neighborhoods. And I yield back the rest of my time.
Thank you. Is there anyone on my left wishing to speak? Public comment? Yes, Ms. Worm.
Good evening. Just wanted to say a quick thanks for the support. We just had our family prom. It was a wonderful success. We had a great turnout, lots of food, lots of families. It was lots of fun. I would like to thank Mr. Brown. Our electronic sign has been fixed. That's been awful to see day in and day out because I drive by there every day on my way to work. So it was a nice surprise today to see it all nice and fixed. And then a special thanks to Kyle Mulligan. I did request if we could move up bringing in the porta-john that we have come in over by the basketball courts, and he was able to get that over there for us. So just wanted to make a quick note of thanks for the help that we get from the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone on my right? Yes, Ray.
Ray's got to save the best. I'm glad to be here today. So, I just want to say thank you for WLND for sending out that video. It came out today. I already got a picture sent on Facebook and telling people that I am going to be spreading that word. Thanks, Melissa. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about Terry. I was just going on Facebook, looking at my stuff, and I said, what? I just talked to that guy 3 weeks ago, and I just got a message for everybody in here. We need to be kind to one another, and that is my piece of thing, because you could be talking to that person that week or 3 weeks later and find out, wow, that was a real shocker, because he was very supportive of me. He said, Ray, you do such a great job. Your message goes out there. And he said, I want to bring you in for some more to talk, because I like what you say about mental health and different topics. And I want to say something about Michelle. It was great what she said today and the crew. I think they're wonderful. And I just think, you know, and the family, I'm just so sorry to hear that. And I was just like, you know, shocked and kind of didn't want to. So I kind of put some nice words on Facebook about it, that he was a wonderful man, very respectful. When people respect me, I go out of my way and say good things about a person when they're alive and everything like that. I appreciate police officers day after day. I'll tell you, Westland right now, they have been really busy. I'm out there driving, I see one right around me. Got somebody right down Warren Road. I said, well, you good job. I'll have to make sure I mention that at the council meeting. I like that. So I thought, and I saw one today. So I watch, and I think it's good that, you know, that we tell our police officers that we appreciate them. I do appreciate them, men and women. And I appreciate the fire department. I went over and visited them at Station 1. Had a nice talk with them and stuff like that. And my new goal is going to be this year is reaching out to Dearborn. Dearborn Mayor, I sent him an email already. Tell him about me being the chair of the Disability Advocacy Group, kind of spreading the word that there's people out there, people with disabilities. People should have the right to be on the tables and listen and have voice to speak. So that's where my journey is going. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Is there anyone else on my left? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon and good evening. I know you guys are familiar with me, and here I am again, but today I just want to be like kind of piggyback on what the gentleman was just saying about being appreciative of the things that are happening within our neighborhood. And we do have, I've had some instances where some things didn't work out right, and it was a police officer that came to the rescue. So it's always someone there for us. And I do want to thank Deputy Mayor Godbout, because he told me that there was going to be some aggressive action on some of the ordinance that needs to be done in our area. And so I'm praying for that to start. And I do know that, let's see, Representative Dillon had DTE, some issues where he's trying to get DTE to come out in our area. Well, DTE didn't come out because the lines didn't belong to them, but there was some contractors that came through, and they kind of put things together and got rid of a lot of lines that weren't there, was unnecessary. So things are in progress, and I'm hoping, and I'm very prayerful that it'll get even better. That's what I'm expecting, and I'm going to be here as much as I can from now on, and you guys will get tired of me because I'm just not going to go away. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Juanita Francis, OBA, longtime Westland resident. First, I want to congratulate Wayne Memorial High boys basketball. We won second for finals Division I over the weekend. And I want to congratulate our girls. We go to U of D Mercy tomorrow for basketball. When we win tomorrow, we would go on Friday for the state championship. I am here because our daughter would go in the morning to the final pretrial hearing with Woodcrest Apartments, and it's just been very long and very upsetting because when City of Westland came to Woodcrest, the Inspector Martin, stated that it did not have a certificate of occupancy. And when I requested under the Freedom of Information Act on today, that information, I received a paper saying it did from 2015. Now, I want to understand how that changed, and I know that I've been before this council minimum 4 times requesting information on how a 425 unit can have so many people without a certificate of occupancy, and no one could address or follow up. And when Director Mo followed up, he said, well, she moved. Yeah, she moved, but yeah, she had 9 mushrooms growing in her home. Now, as the inspector came through, and he observed all this, and he told her that they were in violation and compliant. I want to play this until the time run out of the inspection so y'all can hear. And I want to answer, how did y'all double back City of Westland and change the certificate of occupancy?
Yeah. Side it up. So, and they have to comply this time.
Can I get a written statement from you? From this?
Saying what?
There are spores still growing.
Oh, I'll just tell them myself.
No, I need it for evidence for taking them to
Yes,
court.
you have a picture? Well, technically, I'm not.
No, not that.
Hours. You see what I'm saying?
I was talking about like you as a witness that you saw the.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
You wanted me to write it down, so I did. I kind of after hours.
No, as a witness that you saw it, because I want them to know that somebody came and saw that I'm not just
We have
kidding.
pictures too. We actually have pictures.
Oh, I didn't even see the picture, so that's why.
Yeah, we got pictures.
Because
And
I was
actually
like,
sent the pictures, because I have a few pictures of the mushroom itself.
yeah,
And I sent that to the directors, I gave it to them, everything.
yeah, because they came to me, they were like, well, you sent the pictures, and I'm like, well, yes, because I have mushrooms. And
Yeah, you're not supposed to have them inside it.
I was like.
The time
I'm
is
not.
up.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, now, I know my time is up. One
Time is
last
up.
thing. Can I please get someone to deal with this? And I want answers and full disclosure, how you guys can
Well,
backpedal.
your time is up. We'll come out and get you after the meeting here. again.
Okay.
Thank you, Juanita. All right, is there anyone on my left? Yes, Linda.
Good evening, guys. My name is Linda Filzetti of Westland. Many of you know me, some of you personally, and some of you know my son has been a kidney warrior since he was 14 years old. I I know we talk about National Women's History, we talk about being respectful, kindness, and diseases, and being aware of everything. I think people need to be aware that March is also National Kidney Awareness. It's time to raise awareness about kidney health and the importance of kidney disease prevention. Did you know that the kidney disease affects over 37 million Americans, with many more at risk? It's a silent killer, often with no signs. And when you say that there's no signs, there's no signs. My 14-year-old, healthy, completely healthy, never been sick in his day, didn't even know how to take Tylenol. He went to school, went to middle school, Stevenson, went home sick. We were in the emergency room that night. His kidneys were 100% failed by that end of that night. No reason, no cause. Later found out that surgery was needed. There was a little piece of flap that connects to your kidney, to your bladder, that caused his kidneys to fail. Know the signs are sometimes silent, but be aware, watch your kids. Do they have headaches? Are they nauseated? Check their blood pressures. How many of you check your kids' blood pressures? It's supposed to be done. Because my son was a male, they never checked to see if he had a bladder infection. It's more common in women. But just want to bring that awareness, and hopefully maybe it'll bring someone's attention to stop them from needing a kidney. Thankfully, 4 years of dialysis, but he got a kidney in June, and it's going good. So appreciate your time, and hopefully if you have any questions, I'm always available. I'm an advocate, so have a wonderful day, guys.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak? Yes, Mr. Warren.
Yes, well, in regards to the last speaker, yeah, I've had a kidney transplant too, but one of the main things that I have to do is watch what my wife puts on my plate. Okay. One of the main things that we do as DEI commissioners to make sure that things are equated or inclusive within the community. And the digital signs is one aspect. They just finished installing the one in the South End. And I don't know how far they are with the other signs in the cities, but that's one thing, that to provide information to all the citizens in Westland so that they can be inclusive of the good things that are happening and can be aware of the dangers and emergencies. So I want to thank the council for listening to me in all those budget sessions. I think about 12 hours of budget sessions, because I only get 3 minutes. I have to sit with you for 12 hours and get my 3 minutes. But it paid off. It paid off for the whole city. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Is there anyone else in the audience? Yes, Mr. Stacho.
Good evening. Today my name is going to be Dan O'Stachow. I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor, City Council members, Chief Stamper, Chief Dowley. This is really directed to Chief Dowley. That situation that we talked about a couple weeks ago with that flashing red light or staying on, that issue was resolved within 2 days of our conversation. Your police and your traffic enforcement people are doing a great job. I know they've issued a lot of tickets, I've seen them. But we have an issue on Cowan and Wildwood, that three-way stop. Everybody coming off of Wayne Road is not obeying that stop. So if you could get somebody out there, put a little more money in the city coffers. Thank you very much, and everybody have a happy St. Patrick's Day. Oh, by the way, I've lived with only one kidney for 50 years.
Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak? Public comment. Anyone else in the audience? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will close public comment and move on to comments from the administration. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. And I'd like to thank you for the moment of silence for Terry Packer at the start of the meeting. On behalf of Mayor Coleman, it's with deep sadness that I begin this evening's comments by expressing condolences for the untimely passing of our Communications Director, Terry Packer. Although Terry was a director for only a short time, he stepped into his new role and did an amazing job providing transparent and effective communications in keeping our residents engaged. Terry played a vital role in this city for many years. He brought a passion, professionalism, and innovation to the city, partnering with the city on various roles throughout the years. Terry also had a passion for fundraising. He led city efforts for many years and raised funds for various events and initiatives that bring our community together. His leadership and unwavering dedication will be deeply missed by his colleagues, city officials, and the many residents he served. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, and those of us who had the privilege of working alongside of him. We ask the community to keep Terry's family in their thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. His dedication to Westland will never be forgotten. Terry was also the founder of our Dog Vaccination Day, and we held that annual event this past Saturday, and we were able to vaccinate a record of 278 dogs, with 85 of those being free of charge thanks to the Wayne Ford Civic League, who covered the cost for veterans in appreciation of their service. Also on Saturday, although it wasn't quite as a successful event as the Dog Vaccination Day, the Westland Fire Department had a hockey game with the Garden City Police Department. And while they weren't successful in that game with a victory, they were able to raise over $3,000 for children with muscular dystrophy, the food pantries in the area, as well as a portion going to dispatcher Don Gephardt's family, who passed away very recently. So I know they're already planning a rematch, so we'll expect to find out more from the fire department when that gets scheduled. I'd like to ask everyone that's available to please join Mayor Coleman on the next stop of the Mayor's Listening Tour on Thursday, March 27th at 5:30 p.m. at the Holiday Park Townhouses. And then Westland residents are invited to take part in the city's annual free electronics recycling day on Saturday, April 5th from 10 to 3 at the Recycling Center located at 37137 Marquette. We'll be accepting a wide variety of electronics that will be properly recycled with minimal environmental impact. You can go to the city's website or on our social media pages for a list of acceptable items. And then I'd also just like to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Godbout. Anything from the City Attorney's Office?
A couple of items. First, I might have heard it wrong, but Deputy Mayor, I think, said that the vaccines were provided, paid for by Wayne Ford Civic League for the veterans, but I'm sure what he meant was dogs owned by veterans got free vaccines, not the veterans. I'm not sure, but I thought, I just wanted to clear that up.
Appreciate the clarification.
Thank you. The real issue is I want to take a moment to talk about item D on the consent calendar, which was the first reading of an ordinance amendment to prohibit certain uses of inhalants. The current ordinance that we have in the city was really focused on model glue. It's an old ordinance, and model glue sniffing was the only concern at the time. The police department brought forward that we ought to amend the ordinance and make it comply with state law so that it prohibits huffing chemical agents such as nitrous oxide and keyboard cleaners and other chemical agents with the intention of becoming intoxicated. It will give the PD a little more latitude with this ordinance amendment. It'll be on the next council agenda, the second reading and adoption. So it's really just updating to mirror state law. it does clearly contain exceptions for medical use of chemical agents, so we're not pulling those things in and prohibiting those, but I just wanted to pass that along. It'll be up, as I say, for adoption at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Fasson. All right, we will begin council comments this evening with Councilwoman Andrea Rakowski.
Thank you, Council President. In the interest of keeping on track to come back to our study session that we had a recess for, I'll keep my comments short. It was a great hockey game. Looking forward to seeing the mayor wearing my old hometown jersey, so that'll be fun. And happy St. Patrick's Day. That's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rakowski. We will now hear from Councilman Wishart.
Thank you, Council President. I'll keep it short, too. Happy birthday to my brother. He's turning 32 today. I'm sorry that we can't go out, but we both have newborns at home. Thanks for the new Fear of Kidneys. I appreciate that. Gonna stick with me for a while, and looking forward to our study session part 2.
Okay, and we will now hear from Councilwoman Baumann.
Thank you. I may not be as short as these guys, and I apologize for that, but I have been wanting to say some things, and I was going to use tonight to do it. But I do wanted to say that I really appreciate the opportunity to have that moment of silence for Terry Packer. I didn't know him as well as some did, but what I did know, he will be a big loss. I did want to speak about my yes vote for the car wash. I did also see all the comments that were put on social media, and they were, and I know I share a lot of the sentiments of, okay, another car wash, and I hear people say within a mile of that location, we have a number of different car washes. What I'm going to say is that I started thinking about this, and I'm going to explore. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to explore what it looks like to have a moratorium on things like car washes and oil change places and things like that. I know the city has done moratoriums on gas stations, I believe, so I have decided, and I did talk to Council President as well as the attorney and Mo, and just said I'd like to explore what that would look like. So I do want to share that with people, that I'm going to look at that. I do want to say thank you to Edward Pruitt for bringing up the Wayne Road businesses. That is something that I know we really need to, that road's going to be closed, and work's going to be going on until December. So we do need to be aware of those. For those, I don't know if it's sold out, but for those who got their tickets to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels at Inspire Theater, that does start this week. I'm going to opening night on Friday, the 21st. So hopefully, maybe I'll see you there, and I'm excited about that part, and they do have auditions coming up here soon for the next one. So the other thing I want to talk about actually is something that was brought up, and I decided I wanted to bring it up after I heard some comments at the last meeting, and with some things going on, and I just feel really strongly about this. So I'm just, if people could bear with me and give me the grace for this. But for anyone who's familiar with what they call the classical education model, and in homage to Plato, one of the core tenets we teach our children is to desire the truth, do the good, and love the beautiful. While I may not always do it well, I would have to say that it's one of my core tenets too. When I was elected to serve Westland as a city councilwoman in November 2023, not only was I honored in the trust that was placed in me, I understood that to serve 84,000 to 87,000 residents well, I would need to look at a much bigger picture than just me or my family or even my immediate neighborhood. I would need to look at the holistic view of Westland, as anthropology teaches. In that way, I have spent much of my first year listening to and observing many aspects of life in our city and how the work we do on council impacts that for now and in the future. Until now, other than a few individual situations, I have not felt the need to take a strong stand on something that I've seen or heard. Long before I became a councilwoman and took that oath, the official oath to uphold the constitutions of the United States and Michigan, I grew up in a family who stressed that the rights preserved in our Constitution are worth fighting for. One of those rights we all have is the right to free speech. As the writer of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, said, "Our liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost." And he wasn't just talking about media press. He was speaking of any of us who wishes to express ourselves. Free speech was so important that in his explanations, he even spoke out against attempts to make it illegal to criticize the government. The Supreme Court has also recognized the importance of free speech to our democratic debate and individual autonomy. I have long understood that freedom of speech means that there may be times that I am offended. There are quite a few words in the English language as well as signs and symbols that I have been offended by, and they may not offend others. I also know that in this world there will always be signs, symbols, or words that will continue to offend. I am grateful to live in a country and state that honors and values that high bar of freedom that keeps speech free. It is hard when someone says something that, regardless of whether it is intentional or unintentional, it's downright hurtful, mean, and even disgusting. However, I have said, and I will continue to say, that while I may not like what you say, in fact, you may not even like me, but I will fight for your right to say what is on your mind. Yes, words do matter. And yes, some words may still have consequences. One way to put this is that freedom of speech means freedom of thought, and freedom of thought can only exist when speech is free. So parallel to the fight for our rights, what I pray and hope for is that we all understand kindness, compassion, concern, and even an awareness of others. Awareness of our neighbors and that we choose to live well with each other. We need to take opportunities to call each other, ask questions, learn, and do what we can to understand others and how we can work together for common goals. Words matter. Words can build up or they can cut and tear down. When we listen to each other, speak with one another, and not at another, we can have beauty. So to repeat the classical education core tenet with a little curiosity, we can ask ourselves, what is real? What is right? And what is lovely? We ask this because we need to keep being curious and we need to work towards understanding each other. We may not agree, but we can still be curious and remember it is up to each of us to preserve truth, goodness, and beauty, and I just hope that I can do well by people in that way too. So I want to thank you for indulging me. I felt strongly about that, and with that, I will done.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bauman. Councilman Hornbuckle.
Basically, I want to, give my condolences to Terry and his family. It was really great for them to come out here. I know it took a lot for them to express their love from the city and, keep Terry in their prayers. I was reached out by National Association of Black Suppliers Scholarship Fund. Their deadline is March 22nd for any kid to apply for scholarship fund, $5,000 for 2 years to go to college. And their website is NABSSF.org. That's the National Association of Black Suppliers Scholarship Fund. And the deadline is March 22nd. I believe that's this Saturday. So having kids that have, I think the grade point average is 2.5, any senior that's looking to go to college, I believe this is a great program to help you pay or offset those college fees for the next 2 years. And happy St. Patrick's Day, and make sure you follow me on Facebook, Councilman Delaney Hornbuckle, for our next pop-up event that's coming up, and thank you.
All right, Councilman Hart.
Thank you, Council President. I will be brief. Again, heart goes out to Terry Packer and his family. I had the opportunity to work with him prior to, so a big shock, very tumultuous for the WLND team. I don't envy them right now with basically PTSD of working in that department right now. But again, thoughts and prayers go out to him. Secondly, I always try to be brief. One of the two things I think are very tasteless up here is to campaign from the dais and also to lecture people from the dais. So I try not to do either of those. And with that, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. While everyone might be Irish on St. Patrick's Day, the Scottish are not. We stay Scottish. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Councilman Hart. Pro Tem Sampe.
Thank you. I also want to express my condolences to Terry Packard and his family. I was actually with Terry on Friday and he had a massive heart attack on Saturday. So it was shocking. He looked like he was in fantastic health. I know he was a runner, he ate well, so, you know, just show love and kindness always, because you never know when the good Lord's going to take you. So I know that WLND would appreciate the prayers and his family, as he was very young, very, very young. So he's definitely gone way, way, way too soon. As mentioned, the dog vaccination event happened this past weekend. There's a lot of people that are involved in this, everyone from the city staff, the finance department, the clerk's department, the parks department, Michigan Humane. It is a huge group event with everyone on board. So I just want to give them just big kudos. Everything went really well. I guess I'm going to ask the administration, I don't know when I'm going to see the mayor, but I believe that the next event next year should be the Terry Packer dog vaccination event. He was very instrumental in creating this event. He was into dog rescue, and Terry had a long-standing relationship with rescues and animals. So I'm going to reach out to the mayor, try to get in touch with them, but I would really like to see next year that event in his name. I want to also, as Ray mentioned, highlight March is Disabilities Awareness Month. So Ray and I, we actually did a very nice PSA. So thank you, Ray. Very, very nice. So Ray's a huge advocate. It's my mission. Yep, my mission as well, to raise awareness of inclusion and acceptance with mental health. And I know that was on the agenda today. So thank you to my colleagues for supporting the resolution to have March 2025 as Disabilities Awareness Month. I know that you guys have heard me talk about CERT. So we have a work group ready. Linda, I'm going to get with you, but this is a small group meeting. We finally got in touch with the county. I've been following up, trying to see if we can kind of get the proper equipment. So we're going to work on a rollout plan. So we're going to work on an education and recruitment campaign. So we'll have two different tracks. Education to educate the community of what CERT is. CERT is a Certified Emergency Response Team. And really, it's important for our community because we had talked about, Chief Stamper and I had talked about what we could use the volunteers for. We can use them for babysitting wires. We can use them for if there's traffic issues and wires are down, and we have the volunteers there. So we started to kind of work through what the volunteers could do, and I will share more information. I know the city will share more information, but we're going to be working on some PSAs on education and recruitment of volunteers. So we have a meeting tomorrow. So I'm really excited about that. We also have a working committee. I want to thank everyone involved with that. It's a working committee to address it's a subcommittee on affordable housing, resources, landlord issues. So I know that there's a few people in the audience. I just want to thank everyone for stepping up and saying, hey, the city can do better to educate and also provide resources. We had talked about a resource directory and a guide. So I have all these notes, and I'm trying to get speakers involved, but I'm really excited because I think now is a really good time, especially with the uncertainty in the world, to get resources together. Get them together so we can distribute those out to our residents that really need them. People are always trying to figure out, okay, well, housing, food, we got to get them together, So that's my goal, is trying to get this subcommittee together, and we're going to get out there and we're going to get resources. So anyone that's interested, let me know. I'd love to have you aboard. Lastly, as I mentioned before, myself, Kyle Mulligan, and we also have another work group. It's the theme of the year, just work groups. We're putting together our second annual Autism Walk, which is going to take place on Saturday, April 26, 4 p.m., Tatton Park. So feel free to put that on your calendar. Basically, what we want to do is we want to have an event that allows people with someone in their life with autism that they can go and just feel comfortable. A lot of individuals, as seen with my brother who is very low functioning, they go into public, they go into events, and they just don't feel comfortable. People are looking at them, stares, they have meltdowns, and that's okay. So this event is going to allow for individuals to come to an event to feel comfortable and to bring people together. So we're going to have resources, police and fire have agreed, we're looking to get face painters, and just a fun day, where people can just feel comfortable in an environment and have a really good time. So I've been thinking about things to do, and I'm really excited about this event. Lastly, as mentioned before, Wayne Memorial, go. Oh my gosh, that game was so crazy. Go boys and girls. I watched it on TV. Wayne Memorial Basketball had such an exciting game. I know that their finals game was a little bit more difficult for them, but wow, what a road and what a journey. So I'm going to talk with my council colleagues. I'd like to do something special for them. So more information on that. So with that being said, I will finish up. Our next meeting is Monday, April 7th at 7. We invite everyone to come out. I know we're going to convene in our study session, but if you would like information about anything I talked about, feel free to reach out to me at Councilwoman Melissa Sampe. That's my personal council page. Be happy to talk with you further. Have a good evening. Be safe and kind with one another.
Thank you, Pro Tem Sampe. Again, I want to extend my condolences to the family of Terry Packer on the sudden passing and his loss. It is really a devastating loss in our community, not just to our WLND family, but Director Packer, if you got to know him over the years, as my colleagues mentioned, was such an integral part of the dog vaccination event that we held this past weekend. And this is the first one that he wasn't able to be at. And this was an event that was really, his baby that he helped to get off the ground a number of years ago. So, the work that he did really extended far beyond just WLND here in our Westland community. And it is definitely going to be a big loss, no longer having Director Packer in our lives and here in our Westland community, but his legacy certainly will live on. And I echo the sentiments of, next year renaming the event in his honor. It was brought up regarding the speed bumps. Hopefully this year we can get some more speed bumps so there are adequate amount that will actually slow people down in the neighborhoods, in particular down there in Carver and Annapolis Park. So thank you for bringing that up again, Ms. Wilson. I mentioned this last time, but it was brought up today. I did have the chance to volunteer at the family prom with several people who are here in the audience as well. So a tremendous event as always. Year after year, the family prom continues to be one of the most well-attended events here in the city of Westland, not just in Norwin, but, in Westland in general. It's a great event for, families and kids. Even if you don't live in Norwin, you can bring them on out and sign up. And to everybody that volunteered from the Norwin Citizens Council, folks in the audience who volunteered, thank you for your hard work. We do appreciate you volunteering at the family prom event. I was disappointed by a vote that was taken recently in Lansing. If we want to consider ourselves an inclusive community and an inclusive state, that should be inclusive of all persons, and that means anybody, no matter your gender or sexual identity, no matter your sexual orientation, if you are a member of the LGBTQ community. So I just want to let folks know in the trans community that I stand up for your rights. And it would be nice if all of our leaders in Lansing stood up for your rights as well. But there were many that voted on a piece of legislation that really doesn't have any impact and it's not going to go anywhere, that I thought was an attack on the trans community, and that was quite disappointing. I want to thank our fire department for their charity hockey game with the Garden City Police. Even though we didn't get the result that we wanted here in Westland, it's still for a great cause, and the money going for the Muscular Dystrophy Association and to help local food pantries is going to be significant. Every year our police and fire raise a significant amount of funds for a number of charitable causes, MDA or otherwise, so thank you as always to our fire and our PD for all the good work they're doing, raising money year-round for charitable causes. And then last but not least, I will remind folks that we are going to be reconvening in there. Right now it is 9:05. We will reconvene at 9:15 to finish up with public comment for the study session on CDBG Home Fund. And as always, if you need anything from me, please reach out to me at 734-890-2146 or on Facebook at Councilman Mike McDermott. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Support.
much.